Welcome back to Texas Platinum, the last of the real water cooler talk shows on YouTube. I am Trevor, joined by Matt Myers and Matt Madrid, and we will be discussing the big top 20 game that is coming up in Austin this weekend. Number 4 TCU comes to Austin to take on the number 18 Texas Longhorns. Going to be a big game. College Game Day is going to be there. ABC coverage, prime time. So lots to discuss for that game. But before we get into that game, we're going to recap the Kansas State game that just occurred last weekend. Texas finally wins on the road with a double-digit lead in all. Sark breaks his curse that has been plaguing him for multiple seasons now, and Texas now has new life going into the end of Big 12 play coming up. So lots to discuss. Before we get into it, though, as always, we ask that you please like, comment, and subscribe, especially if you're new here. Welcome. We do this on a pretty regular basis during the season, so we want to make sure that you are subscribed so you can follow along and be there to listen to us talk Texas football, especially with all the good things going on right now with the program. So, Matt Madrid, you were not present last show, so I will start it off with you. How are you doing? And tell us your initial opening thoughts about the Kansas State game.
I'm doing good. I'm surviving the last bit of the semester. I started a job. Probably not the smartest idea, but it's a cool job. So I wanted to try something new. But for initial thoughts of this game, dude, why can't we score in the second half?
We like to make it scary.
Dude, I don't understand. Look, props to Sark for and the team for winning in Manhattan in the little Apple. Like, that's a big deal, and to have beaten them even in our worst years, we're still beating Kansas State. I forget how many times in a row. So that's kind of own them, which is kind of nice. But man, would it be nice to just be able to? I don't even know. Like, we always say it's like, oh, it's adjustments. I'm like, okay, like, they know that I'm sure they're making the adjustments now. I don't know if it's like a player thing. I don't know if it's a mental thing or if it's a young guy thing. I'm just very confused as to why we could only put up 3 points, and we're just basically playing not even conservative. I don't even know. Like, I will say the play calling sometimes with Sark gets like less creative in the second half for God knows what reason. I really hope he realizes that, and I don't know, is for all gas no breaks. Like, the second half is it's all breaks. I just wish we could not play so defensively in the second half. I don't know. It would just be nice to control a game, but that's the way you got to learn to win, I guess. But it is good, nonetheless, that we won there. I had one more thing I wanted to say. No, I don't remember. But it's good for Sark's record too to get one on the road like this. You need to. This marks of good programs going in a hostile environment and winning a game like this. I just wish we had more juice in the second half.
Myers.
Yeah, we needed that one really bad. I mean, just think about what happens if we blew that 31-10 lead, and we're sitting at 5-4, and everything is a whole different conversation this week. So I know it wasn't pretty in the second half, but our defense honestly played better in the second half. They made the plays. It just comes down to our offense, honestly, like Madrid was saying. And I think a lot of it is the lack of creativity, like you were saying, Matt. There's not much motion, like pre-snap motion. Like in the first half when it's scripted, there's so many just like beautiful plays that, like, that's where you, like, your mouth drops. You're like, oh my gosh, Sark is a genius. And you never see those type of plays in the second half. And I don't know if Sark can't call those plays on the fly. It have to be scripted, or if he just likes to sit on leads and wants to run the ball, which isn't a bad idea, honestly, with Bijan and Roschon and our O-line playing a lot better in run block. But clearly it's not working. We need to find ways to be sustained drives, honestly. I don't know if that means being more aggressive, running more RPOs. We just need to not necessarily score a bunch in the second half, but just sustain drives and eat clock.
Long drives, like just
Yes.
keep things keep away. If we're gonna do the keep away game with the lead, then we actually have to like it can't be 3-and-out. It can't be
Yeah.
3-and-out.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. And I was listening to Fanatic Perspective last night, and one of the guys on there brought up a good point, and he thinks a lot of it is Quinn Ewers not having the experience yet to audible out of plays, and the O line also being very young, where there's just not much trust there to just kind of control calls and get out of looks because the defense is adjusting, obviously. Like for example, on that 3rd and 2, whatever it was, and he ran that toss to the short side of the field with a loaded box.
Yeah.
That was the worst play call I've seen Sark make in his career, and like I feel like a junior veteran Quinn Ewers notices that at the line and checks out of that. You never really see Quinn audibling, which is fine. He's a puppy. He's still learning, but I think that might be part of it. And when the script is gone, it's a lot more just there's a lot less creativity from Sark and from Quinn can't really change the looks like we'd want in a veteran. So I don't know, man. We hopefully it's psychological too. I mean, getting that win in the second half, winning the game actually might help these guys next week in the second half. Just feel like okay, we can win games in second halves, even though offense didn't do much at all. But they did make that drive when they needed it to get that field goal. So that's some sign of life there. But honestly, the story of the game I thought was just the defense. I mean, the defensive line. They didn't sack Martinez too many times, but man, like we lead the nation in pressures, and you could have definitely seen it on Saturday night. I mean, every play, Keandre Coburn is bull rushing somebody into the pocket. Like he destroys the pocket every play, which is honestly mind blowing because Keandre Coburn was not that dude last year. Like this is a different Keandre Coburn. He's like making so much money this year, and I'm so happy for him. Um, and just everybody else. I mean, Tavondre Sweat was playing his heart out. Moro Sorrell had a sack. So a lot of these guys are just really developing, and we've been saying that all year, and we saw it again against Adrian Martinez. We just got to find ways to get people to the ground defensively when we're, getting a good pass rush, especially against Max Duggan because he's like Martinez. He'll be Houdini back there and make us look foolish. So that's good. Michael Taff, I was hating on this guy earlier in the season because I was like, why is there a walk on in there? But I mean, he played good against Kansas State. There was a play I remember where it was a key down, and Adrian Martinez
Open
took
field tackle,
off.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he made that open field tackle to get off the field, I think. And whenever I saw that happening, I was like, oh God, this guy's about to get embarrassed. And he went and wrapped him up and brought him down. So that's a good sign. And then Taff was like all everything at Westlake. He just doesn't have, the size that you'd want in a D1 corner nickel, but he's playing really well. So I think he's a guy that might keep playing for us in the future and be a starter one day if he keeps developing. Jalen Ford, obviously, just insane. Big 12 player of the week again. Probably Big 12 player of the year defensively at this rate. His stats are ridiculous. He makes timely impact plays. And it's crazy because last year he was kind of behind Luke Brockermeyer, right? Which is another just great sign of Jeff Choate and Patterson and PK developing these kids. Overshown kind of had a quiet game, but that's okay. He's allowed to have one of those every now and then. But overall, defense played great. We just got to find a way to shore up that zone coverage because too many guys running wide open in the middle of the field with like the zones around them, but they just find those openings in the zone where they're wide open, and then they just throw like they can throw just a knuckleball in there, and they'll be wide open. They'll still catch it. So we just got to shore up those zones, especially against TCU because they're good at exposing the zone through the air. So defensively played defense played great. Offense, first half, phenomenal. Just such a clean game. Quinn Ewers bounced back for sure against Kansas State. He looked way better than he did against Oklahoma State. Played within the offense, didn't light it up, but also managed the game against a very good defense at forcing turnovers. So he didn't turn the ball over. He scored when he needed to. Found Xavier Worthy. He missed some throws. I don't know what's wrong with the deep ball. Honestly, I don't understand why it looked so good earlier in the year, and now it's just like I don't know. I don't know. I feel like they're just chemistry. And then Quinn, I don't know. We need to start hitting those deep balls. And Roshan and Bijan, obviously, just electric. Just so blessed to have them. And yeah, honestly, Jatavion, we need to keep throwing the ball to him because that guy is ridiculous for us. So O line, phenomenal. just great O-line play from a really young O-line. So a lot of great signs. Just we got to keep putting complete games together, keep polishing it up. But you see things moving in the right directions. And when's the last time we won a game like that in Manhattan, top 15 win? I know we won at Oklahoma State with Herman, but like that was a COVID year. That was a really big win. And last thing I'll say before I pass it back to Trevor is Joel Klatt was mentioning that it's really hard to win on the road in college football nowadays, like just for anybody, not just Texas. And the fact that we're able to get that lead and lead the whole game, win the game at a top 15 environment. I mean, he said that of like there's been 7 top 10 matchups this year, and all 7 have been won by the home team. And then of the 12 top 15 matchups there's been this year, 11 have been won by the home team. So it's really hard to win road games, especially against good teams at night. So that's a huge momentum builder for Sark in year 2, and hopefully it just like it's a cathartic thing for our team. Next time we go play on the road, we just feel more confident going into we play in Lawrence in 2 weeks. So hopefully this experience will pay dividends going forward. But overall, huge win, and now it sets us up to control our own destiny again. And we have a huge game in Austin this weekend, so very hyped for that.
Trevor, before you say something, like, I think I want college football is literally the last sport that has like a true home field advantage. Like NFL, never really. Basketball, you get fans you get fans that are just like fans of players and stuff like that. College football is like the only one of the I don't want to speak too hyperbolic, but one of the only sports where a fan base is literally will cry in the stands and scream their heart out like that. That's a big deal. I never really liked the whole like Sark's record on the road, because I would like to see any coach's record on the road. Like those things those aren't gimmies. Like you don't just win on the road like that. So I think I don't think it's being talked enough about the magnitude of winning that game on the road. That's a big deal. That stadium wanted to kill us. They wanted our heads on spikes. They wanted flags for everything. Everything was targeting. Everything was worth being ejected for. So I just want to give the team props in that regard.
Well said. Well said. What I'd like to say is a couple things. And Myers, you may have mentioned it, but not into super big detail or anything. But if Texas keeps doing well, Bijan might sneak into the Heisman finalist category. He had an incredible game. It was over 200 total yards, and the flash plays were there. It was kind of upsetting to see him on that long run get tracked down, because that was a touchdown, and I feel like he just didn't hear the guy behind him. Otherwise, he probably would have kept his foot on the gas. But that opening drive was pretty amazing. Just, and that's the second game, because Oklahoma State, he also had another really impressive long run. So he seems to be in, good condition right now, and seems to have, because I feel like earlier in the season, outside of like the UTSA game, he didn't really have, well, Monroe, I think too, but outside of that, he didn't really have any big signature long runs, at least that I can think of off the top of my head. But he seems to be in that rhythm now, and things are going well. And especially against, a team like TCU, prime time, top 4 team, if he breaks a few big runs, I mean, the Heisman's pretty open right now. I mean, Bryce Young's kind of been hit and miss, and some of the other candidates as well. CJ Stroud hasn't been, I mean, he's going to make it, but he hasn't been like a world beater. And Caleb Williams, I mean, everyone's kind of there. To be honest, I don't know if I would really give it to anyone at this point. I feel like no one's really.
There's no runaway.
There isn't, and no one's blown my mind. Bijan has past few games. Only issue is, you got to have an elite team to pair with him, and unless Texas just continues to win games here, he won't make it. But I think if Texas wins this game against TCU, he's going to be in the conversation. And if they can finish the season strong, make it to the championship, and are competing, I think he can sneak in. He's that good. And I mean, doesn't take an expert to realize that. So I think that's something that is pretty obvious to point out. I think a part of that too is can't remember which of y'all said it, but I think that also is kind of our struggles with scoring in the second half as of late. Is Sark has relied on Bijan a lot and the run game a lot in the second half, and it's very predictable, unlike the first half where there's more of a mix of plays and you're getting Bijan in more space and everything like that. Second half, I think it's a little too obvious. And I think that's what the issue is, because we really did not throw much at all in the second half. I think way too, not enough at all. I don't think we need to be doing the deep shots in the second half if we have a lead. But Myers and I talked about it at length last show. Let's get Whittington some targets in the second half because he's got good hands. Let's get Jatavian Sanders some more looks too, and really rely on those guys. And I think Myers, you made a great point about doing some RPOs because that was Quinn's offense in high school, and he's very strong in that in running that type of offense. And with the athletes that we have and this, different skill sets that we have, I think that can serve as a very maybe not easy, but a very manageable offense for a young quarterback and something that we can rely on in the second half after things are starting to stall out a little bit. So those are some thoughts. Defensively, very impressed with defensive linebackers have been pretty good as well. Secondary continues to be a weakness, but I don't think you can fix that at this point in the season. It's not awful. We've seen a lot worse secondaries, but I would say it's the weakness of this defense. But
for me, I think sometimes with the secondary, it feels like a lack of effort sometimes, like straight up, or just bad angles or just giving up on angles, and it's just like these little things sometimes where it's like because there were points in the game when Adrian Martinez, like when we were in his face and he was throwing up ducks. He was throwing up ducks, and like if you just break towards that ball as it's floating and not let the guy just cradle catch it, like that's a pick six going the other way. Like I don't. That's the kind of stuff that really bothers me. But like you said, it's late in the season. They are who they are.
Yeah, I blame it kind of on what Myers. I mean, part of it's that too. It's everything, but I think Myers mentioning that it's zone defense pretty much exclusively on the secondary side of the part of the defense, I think is definitely exposing us. And he's right about TCU potentially exposing that too. So that'll need to get shored up a little bit. But we'll touch on that in a bit. Last kind of big thought that I had was I want to say I hate playing the what if game, but I think if those two fumbles that happened in the game were very unusual. Roshan never fumbles, and that was just a fantastic textbook play by that Kansas State player that just punched it out. That just never happens. And if that didn't happen, I'm sure we would have scored because Roshan was running. I don't think Roshan would have scored, but we would have been like in the red zone. And then also on the second, Worthy on Xavier Worthy's fumble where he just got blown up and let go of the ball. Again, that's kind of unusual. So I of course both Kansas State players deserve all the credit in the world for those plays. But I don't see that happening every game. And I feel like both of those drives we likely would have scored, maybe not a touchdown, but at least a field goal, and would have kept this game a little bit more out of reach. So those are kind of my thoughts. Any final thoughts on Kansas State game?
Yeah, I think that's a good point, Trevor, especially that second fumble, Xavier Worthy. Because if you remember that point in the game, it was still 31-10. They got the ball first. We got to stop. And then we got the ball, got a first down. it was like 10 minutes left in the third quarter, and then we had that conversion. So like we were about to just hopefully go on a drive, kill some clock, score something, and then it's 6 minutes left in the third, and we're up by 3 scores, 4 scores. At that point, the game probably takes on a whole different, path. Whereas we fumble and they score real quick, and then it's a 14-point game just like that. So yeah, those type of things we have to clean up for sure. And then I like your point about Bijan being in the Heisman race. I mean, I think he needs to surpass Blake Corum, which I
Yeah.
think he might actually do.
He's got
Because I
more
think
flash plays,
yeah, and he's got a better, I mean, it's Bijan Robinson. He's kind of more,
better
I don't know,
brain.
he's got more of a Heisman aura about him, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Um,
stronger brain.
and yeah, definitely. And I think he's number 2, I read, in all-purpose yards now.
Yeah.
So if he has like you said, Trevor, if he has a big game against TCU with a couple like, Heisman plays, I think he'll be talked about as like unanimously top 5 in the Heisman at that point. So that'd be huge for us and Sark and Bijan. So hopefully we and Bijan's gonna have a great opportunity to do it because TCU's run defense is not the best. So uh yeah, overall, just great game. Also, last thing I want to say, Burt Auburn, we were talking down on you last week, but you hit your 2 field goals this week. So
Yeah.
good job. Good job bouncing back.
Much
We needed those
improved.
bad. So came in clutch.
Madrid, you got anything?
Yeah, just lastly, overall thing I got. I think sometimes we forget how young this team is. And when things aren't going right, some people I maybe I'm just on social media too much, but like
I think you are, because Myers and I
probably.
talked about how this wasn't a young team on the last
Yeah.
show.
Yeah. Um
Young on the offensive line
yeah,
and
exactly.
secondary, kind of.
Yeah, it's they're limited by their youth still, and you can just see that. And I think in the beginning we all just wanted to give like, especially PK, a lot of shit for it, but it's working. The scheme is working. We're just not making the plays, I think, and I think that just comes down to personnel, um, mainly because there were so many times where we were in Martinez's face and we just for some reason couldn't grab him. But look, maybe if we had better players
We
there, it's a
didn't,
different story. Yeah,
yeah, we just didn't wrap up. It was
yeah, exactly.
frustrating. We were like
We
pushing
get
him,
there.
just
Yes.
trying to knock him over. I'm like, what are
Yeah,
you
and he's too
doing?
big of a guy to do something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't know. I'm talking mainly because I catch myself personally sometimes getting a little too heated. But like this is also just like overarching for like every Texas fan. Is like this is this is year 2 and we're 6-3 compared to where we were last year. Like I after every game I'm kind of like, well, we are doing better. So I think patience is really key, especially with the young talent we have. So
Yeah, I agree with the personnel, especially on the back end, secondary, our weakest part of the defense.
yeah,
My like when these balls are on the turf in years past, you'd
Oh,
have like Earl
yeah.
Thomas, Michael Huff, like ball hawks go in there and grab that ball. Like we don't have
We're so
guys like that on
slow.
the back end. I
Can't
mean, I think
recover a fumble. That's sorry. That's one talking point that none of us brought up, but there were multiple thank God for the last one at the end of the
yeah,
game. But my
yeah.
God, there were what, like 3 fumbles in
Three,
that game?
three.
Yeah.
yeah. And then 2 of them were like we should have recovered,
Oh,
especially that
all of
one
them.
where Jalen Ford punched it out and Malik Knowles, and we had Deshaun Jameson just standing over the ball and not. So like I'm just saying like Madrid was saying, I'm adding to his point. We don't have those type of just ballers on the back end yet, and I think Stark's bringing them in. I mean, Malik Muhammad, we have Terrence Brooks in the wings right now, and Derek Williams, guys like that. But it's going to take some time. I think Jade Barron can be that player for us maybe next year. He's shown great signs. He had a good game, I thought. But yeah, we just need to upgrade certain parts of the defense and offense personnel wise, and then I think the scheme is there to just take this thing to the next level for sure.
Well said. All right. Let's transition then over to TCU. big game. Much like I predicted, TCU is a top 5 team this week. Now they're at number 4. Kind of a dark horse, not dark horse, but the college football fans that are always like, oh, you gotta give the underdog some love. TCU's been getting that playoff love recently, and doesn't have, this was something that was talked about previous to this week where TCU wasn't in the top 5 and they're undefeated and everything. Everyone's talking branding and all that good stuff. This is a massive game for them, just to start that off. Probably even a bigger game for them than it is for us, because if they want to keep their playoff hopes alive, because they're going to the Big 12 championship, like that's gonna happen unless they just go on a losing streak all of a sudden. But yeah, so they're pretty safe, but in terms of playoff picture, they got to keep winning, and a win on the road against Texas would be huge for them on prime time. So little bit bigger for them than for us, even though it would be gigantic for us. There's stakes on both sides, and we'll get into that. But let me hand it back to you, Madrid. Yeah, kind of give your opening thoughts to TCU matchup.
Yeah, bigger game than Bama by far. Like, who would have thought that this would have higher stakes in that game? Look, this is one of those games where you really see if there is real growth, because we can't just stay. You could make excuses and be like, oh well, they're not that good. They're good at quarterback, or they're not that good on defense, or the running back is too small, right? But for here, TCU's been playing. Look, I don't know if they're number 4 in the country, but they're sure as hell top 7. You know what I mean? Like, and that is to go against a team like that at this point in the season too. Like, what we got, like, what, 3 games left. Like, this is Big 12 time, but Big 12 championship time. And then not to mention all the recruits. We got a stable of recruits coming at this game. Luckily we have Vasek already flipped, but a lot of these players are seeing how we're going to perform here, and they're going to make their decision off that. And I always wondered if like players and staff like that ever crossed their mind. I have a feeling that it has to, just because like you can't get away from it, and it's the overarching like context of your program in front of these young men. But yeah, it's exciting, but it's also very nerve-wracking. But yeah, I just think it's also really cool to have it as a night game at DKR. Like, at least on paper, the stars are aligning for us. Like, but we'll see how we turn out. But yeah, those are my initial thoughts.
Yeah, this is our first like real opportunity to debut the new DKR with the new south end zone, right? Yeah, south end zone. Because the Bama game, I mean, it was still an absolutely insane atmosphere, but of course Fox had to ruin that one and put it at noon. So this one we get ABC, Fowler, and Herb Street, and game day in prime time, 6:30. It's going to be cold too, so it's going to be a very electric atmosphere, and it's with the recruits coming in town. It's I'm trying to think when's the last time that we beat a top 5 team in DKR, and I know we beat number 6 Oklahoma State in 2008, but is it 1990 Houston when they were like number
Bro,
1?
has it really been that long?
It's
Oh
been
my
a while.
gosh.
I remember like Petty Aggies on Twitter talking about we haven't beaten a top 5
Missouri,
team.
what was Missouri ranked in 08?
10. They were not top.
Oh.
They were close, but they were good. And that Missouri game is kind of how I hope this game plays out, where we're just like juiced up,
Stomp
and
'em.
just because that was electric DKR, and I think that could be what we're in for this Saturday. I mean, TCU. I was shocked that they ranked them above Tennessee at number 4. Like that sets the precedent. Like if TCU has a clear path now, if they went out there in the playoff over Tennessee, that was the chance for the committee to say no, Tennessee's a better team, but they said no, TCU's the team to go. So number 4 team in the country, Max Duggan. I mean, the way TCU wins these games is honestly hilarious. I mean, they injure the starting quarterback every week. They get down, they win a close game, they pull away. They look kind of good, honestly, but like not like great. But they just keep winning, and that's good coaching, veteran team. I mean, they returned like everybody from last year. That's why I think that they're so good, is they just have so much experience, and obviously they have Quentin Johnston, who although like probably number one receiver in the draft right now. He's in a boot, I think. He's battling an ankle injury, and even if he does play, I feel like it's not going to be 100% Quentin Johnson, which is
Yeah.
honestly a good thing for us because he's the type of player that would just destroy our secondary on the back end. Just throw it up to him, he'll go catch it. So
Yeah, if Xavier Hutchinson was going to do it to us, Quentin Johnson was absolutely going to do it to us.
Yeah.
yeah. And then they have other good players like Darius Davis, who's like tiny but so fast. Tay Barber's a guy that's given us problems over the years. And I mean, their running back, Kendra Miller, he has really good numbers too. Like his numbers are similar to Bijan's, and they have a veteran O line. And obviously, Max Duggan's playing like a Heisman level, 24 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. So their offense has been absolutely electric. Sonny Dykes, gotta give him credit. He always seems to have a good offense from when he was at Cal, SMU, and this year's no different. The defense is kind of uh, where I think we can exploit them because they average like 27 points a game they give up on defense, and they've been susceptible to the run, and they'll get in shootouts. I mean, not really shootouts, but they'll trade scores with teams. And also, D. Winters, one of their better players on defense, is going to be out in the first half, I think, for targeting. So there'll be points there in the first half where we can, I think, impose our will on them, um, running the ball with Bijan and, like Trevor said, hopefully have a Heisman moment type thing. But I just the way that we're favored by 7 is
It's a lot.
a lot. And then obviously everybody's talking about the disparities in the halves between these two teams. I mean, Texas is absolutely like electric in the first half. We'll go up on anybody in the first half. Georgia doesn't matter, Tennessee, but then we'll be terrible in the second half. And then conversely,
TCU is
um,
the opposite.
yeah, TCU looks just dead in the water the
Yeah,
first half. Then they just come roaring
that's the
back and win
scary part
games
about
in the
this
second
game,
half.
dude.
So something's got to give. Like something.
Yeah,
It's gonna be fun to see how it plays out. The Texas -4 in the first half bet. I would definitely hammer that.
yeah.
But Texas
Hmm.
-7, I don't know. We need to see
I,
a full game from our offense if we want to beat the number 4 team in the country.
I think it's kind of wild that like all these gambling sites and just like everyone's like models have more faith in us than we have faith in us.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, bro, are we dogs? Are we nice like that? Or like I don't understand. like we're 6-3, right? And I think we're pretty good, but some of these things, some of these like models and these guys won us by like 10. It's like, whoa, like this is a number 4, this is number 4 team in the country. Like, are you kidding me right now? They make it sound like we're just gonna walk in there and smack them around. I don't know. It's weird to me.
And that's what's so frustrating because this team has
Yeah,
so much potential, but we just can't do it
yeah.
consistently. So
Yeah. Well said. Well said. Um, let's talk a bit about some of the not keys to the game, but some of the big talking points. I feel like it would be criminal for us to not mention Gary Patterson.
Yeah, this is a low key storyline that's really cool, I think.
Yeah.
Because
Going to Madrid.
no, because both sides really want to give it to each other. Like Gary Patterson's been circling this one, like, and like he's always in the lab, but like he's going in the lab for this one for sure. And I guess they left on bad-ish terms. Like I don't
Yeah.
know. When they fired Gary Patterson, it was kind of a surprise to me because I felt like he was never the problem, but like they felt like they needed a new
It
to
was
turn a
kind of a
new page.
Mac Brown situation, I
Yeah,
think,
yeah, they
you
like needed
know.
to turn a new page, and they went with Sonny Dykes, and then on top of that, he left TCU, and then he immediately went to us, and it's like wow, like like they're not gonna like that, so they really want to give it to him as well. Dare I say that's an X factor for us? I don't know, maybe, but I don't know about you guys, but every time I see Gary Patterson in Texas Longhorns gear, I think it's fake. Like that's not real. It's not, and I don't know how quickly he just like was like, yeah, I'm Team Longhorns. Like he rides for us, he recruits for us. He's just down for us already. And I don't know. I've heard a lot of speculation that he might be, that he might, well, for sure will have looks at head coaching jobs, but like I've also heard that he also likes being part of the staff. So I don't know. I think that's a really interesting uh uh like side story to this already big game.
Yeah, so Gary is certainly a big factor and something that I'm sure there's going to be a game day segment or two all about Gary Patterson in this game, and yeah, that'll definitely be a talking point. I want to hear about it from the TCU standpoint. I feel like TCU fans haven't been very vocal on the socials. Maybe they're just not in general, but
Do they have fans?
right. But I haven't heard any. I feel like there'd be beef, and I don't sense it, and it's fun. It's kind of weird.
They're
For
definitely the
someone
least
that's a
represented
legend.
Big 12 fan base. I think Kansas has
Yeah.
more fans than them.
Well, after this season,
Yeah,
certainly.
exactly.
But yeah, it's weird. Anyway, another massive point, more so on the, well, it's both on the Texas side, but another massive point is the recruits that are going to be in Austin for the weekend. We got a whole bunch of them. Myers, why don't you kind of talk about this big recruiting visit that's going to be taking place, as well as, well, we'll touch briefly on the commitment of Colton Vasek as well, since that was huge.
Yeah, isn't it crazy what a win against Kansas State on the road can do for your program? And also, thank you to the Aggies and Jimbo Fisher
Yeah.
for just doing their thing. We love that. And OU also has been doing bad. So it's kind of nice that it's opened an opportunity for Texas to kind of surge here. We already have a good class with a great floor led by Arch Manning, but now with like a month till signing day one, it's a chance for this class to go just to like next level. I mean, the big one is Anthony Hill. He decommitted from A&M, number one linebacker in the country. He's visiting this weekend, and he's a guy that I feel like, from what I've read, if we win and things go right, we could get him in the bag maybe this weekend. But I think he also might wait till signing day. And of course, Georgia, Bama, all the usual suspects are going to show up for him because that's a 5-star. And then all other guys like JV and Toviano, that's a guy that I thought he's another 5-star defensive back. He's coming to Austin this weekend as well. That's a guy that I thought was all LSU, but the fact that he's going to visit this weekend late in the cycle, it's a guy that Texas led for earlier in the cycle, gives us a chance to get back in that. And then Deuce Robinson, tight end, 5-star from California. That seems more like a long shot, but I mean, if he's coming on campus for a good game like this, and if he sees what Jatavion Sanders is doing on the field, I mean, I feel like we'll have a puncher's chance there.
He likes
And
Arch Manning. Him and Arch are close.
yeah, 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 exactly. Arch Manning is like that wild card that we have in our back pocket where, oh, you can go play with Arch Manning. So that definitely gets people's attentions all across the country. And Peyton Bowen's a guy that was rumored to be visiting, but I don't know if he's going to or not. He's a 5-star from he's from Denton Guyer, but he's committed to Notre Dame. And so hopefully he comes to town. He's a guy that seems kind of like a long shot too, but you never know if you get him on campus. A really good safety. That's the type of player that we need in the back end, like that we were talking about, like a ball hawk with just insane speed and things like that. Another Notre Dame commit, Jaden Greathouse from Austin Westlake. He's a guy that I really like. He's a receiver, not your typical Sark receiver. He's kind of a bigger build, might even profile more to like a tight end type, a slot guy, maybe Jordan Whittington replacement type of guy. But he's really good. He's a baller for Austin Westlake, and he's a guy that's been committed to Notre Dame for a while, but apparently we have a good shot at getting back in that this weekend. So with Vasek flipping from Westlake, that's got to help with, you see Michael Taff, what he's doing, Westlake guy. I mean, we got Connor Robertson, Ethan Burke. So we have like this nice little Westlake pipeline forming, which we need. I mean, Westlake's like
Which
probably
we
the
should
best.
always have.
Yeah.
Right.
It should be our modern day to
Yes.
USC.
Easily.
And
Easily.
looks like we're kind of getting that going now because Westlake is a machine and we're getting these good players now. So I think Greathouse would be a cherry on top. And there's other guys visiting too, like Jelani McDonald. Honestly, there's so many people visiting that I can't even say them all. But just there's just like, I know there's like 4 or 5 stars and then like 10 4-stars. I wonder if Arch will show up. Colin Simmons, the
That'd
number
be
one
cool.
player in Texas, edge rusher out of Duncanville for next year, is coming to town. That's a guy that we need, obviously. It's a game changer uh, off the edge. That's a position of need for sure. So it's just honestly, it just kind of just goes to show how monumental this game is for Texas and what it can mean if we go out and get a big win in front of all these recruits. It could be like the hinge point for Sark's career at Texas because that Bama like I think Gary Hamilton was saying like it's not often you get two chances in a season to have like just a
Yeah.
signature moment. And we had it against Bama where we played good but didn't get the win, but we're having it again hopefully this week against TCU. And if things fall our way, I mean this thing could go nuclear, everybody's saying. So you get Anthony Hill in the class, just him off the top, that jumps us to number 2 in the nation recruiting class with a month to go to signing day. So um, the future of the program, like not only is the season on the line, Big 12 title hopes, but a lot more, future recruits and everything are on the line Saturday. So that's why it's a must win for Sark, a must win for Texas. So we better bring our A game Saturday.
Big game, big game. Let's go into keys to the game. Anyone want to start?
Yeah, I'll go. So Max Duggan is an enigma. Okay. How the
He is
hell
a
is he this
Texas
good?
killer.
Why is he, bro? I don't understand. Look, we used to like. I remember that when he beat Sam. Was it the COVID year? No, wait, the year before that, right? It's 2019, right? How long has Max Duggan been there? It's been like what,
It's been
3 years,
a while.
right? He's the
For
dude. All of a sudden, he's like just a. Look, it's not even that he like plays really well. I think they really tailor the offense to his
yeah,
abilities. Like they really cater to his abilities, and they get him hitting open throws in the middle, and then like throwing it up to Quentin Johnston is always a good play. And then they always have him like on some kind of wild bootleg that I somehow always works, and no one ever thinks to think that Max Duggan, dude running with his fist closed down the sideline, like isn't a threat. He's like their Sam Ellinger, really, but it was
pretty
just
much.
took him later to bloom. No, props to him. I just don't understand it, and I feel like I'm trying to think of we face better quarterbacks, but somehow this is the one that scares me the most, just because like he's just one of those guys that just executes and doesn't really make that many mistakes and plays really hard. He's the heart and soul of that team right now. So mainly is we were getting home against Adrian Martinez, and honestly, we were doing a pretty good job of containing him too. When we may not have gotten the sack, but a lot of times we had him just rolling out and him making either a tough throw or throwing it out of bounds. If we can do that, I think we really give ourselves like an advantage, because that just neutralizes a main part of their offense. And if we can get to him sack wise, I think I really like our chances. So like you have on here, don't let Max Duggan look like Superman against us. Exactly that. It's not even Superman. He'll be just like average Joe union worker solid. Like don't make him look like he knows what he's doing out there. Which will be hard to do, but you see what I'm getting at. Props to him for his evolution and for the staff, for Sonny Dyke's staff, and Lincoln Riley's brother for really scheming him up and knowing how to utilize his skill set. But we need to make him look like the average quarterback that he's looked like. And granted, he's beaten us, but like he's also looked average in the past. And I think we need to make sure we kind of return to that. And I think we can if we do the same things we were doing to Martinez. I think they're kind of the same quarterback. Better throw maybe Duggan. But yeah.
Myers.
Right, so I agree with that. That's obviously one of the biggest keys is getting him to the ground, containing him. That's probably the biggest key to the game, honestly. But mine are more off the rails. Quinn Ewers, all right. So Quinn Ewers bounced back last week against Kansas State. He looked really bad against Oklahoma State. Then he went to a hostile environment and played very well. He was poised. He wasn't perfect. He missed some throws downfield, but he didn't turn the ball over. He made good decisions. So if you look at Quinn Ewers in his young career at Texas, I'll say the two biggest games he's played in, brightest lights, was Oklahoma and Alabama. And coincidentally, those are his two best games that he's had. So I think Quinn Ewers historically in high school, if you look back, played better in bigger games. I know Oklahoma State on the road's kind of a big game too, but uh, you know, this one has got to be biggest since Bama. Bigger than it's bigger than OU, I'll say. Just considering how bad OU's been this year. So I think this is a chance for Quinn Ewers to take over a game. I'm not going to say it's a key to the game, but I think it's something to watch. I think it's the difference between us winning a close game and us running away with it. If Quinn Ewers goes off and plays like he did against Bama in the first quarter and he did against OU, I think that we're going to run away with this game in the second half at some point. If he doesn't, if he just kind of, misses throws, is just not super polished, it just plays average, then it's going to be a game we can lose. So I think a key to the game would definitely be get a good Quinn Ewers game. We've said that he's going to have a bad game. I think he's due for an explosive, huge game. Like, he's had the bad game. He's had a good bounce back game. Now he's ready for a big game.
We need a
With big
reminder
numbers.
game.
Yeah,
Like OU was.
literally.
We need a reminder.
Exactly. And I mean, everybody in the country is going to be watching, so this is a chance to remind everybody of like who he is and why he's the number one player in the country coming out of high school. My other key of the game is the zone coverage. I mean, Texas Homer was pointing out how TCU was so good against zone coverage, exposing it, passing to their good wideouts, Tay Barber, Savion Williams, Quentin Johnston, Darius Davis. That's Max Duggan's comfort zone. And for us, that's been our weakness, especially against Kansas State. Those zone coverages were atrocious. And you know that Sonny Dykes sees that on film. So just find a way, honestly, to not let the zones look so bad. Honestly, if you have to go man, honestly, I wouldn't hate going man against some of these guys, although man against Quentin Johnston seems tough. I mean, put Ryan Watts on him, then hope he can do something. But yeah, just honestly just shore up those zones and get Max Duggan to the ground, contain him, and then have a supernova game from Quinn Ewers. And I think we blow the doors off of TCU if that happens. So that's a lot to ask for, but those are my three keys to the games.
My key to the game, it's more so on our offense. I think Bijan. I mean, we touched on it in the first part of the video, but potential game for him to get in the Heisman race, and I think it's smart for us to rely on him. He's our best player, most talented player. As Myers said, TCU's run defense isn't great. It's not horrible, but it's certainly can be exposed, and I believe that we should be getting the ball to him a healthy amount. And I think after these past two games in particular with Oklahoma State and Kansas State, I feel like there's a trend there, and Sark's going to continue to do that. So that might not even be a key to the game as much as it is a plan that's going to happen. But I think that, if we can control, the offensive, part of what this game is going to be and really kind of dominant time of possession, then I think we got a really good shot at winning the game. To pair with that, just converting on third downs, that's been kind of an issue, I feel like, for the Texas offense, especially in the second half. Second half, third down conversion rate is piss poor, especially as of late. Maybe got a little bit better against Kansas State, but Oklahoma State, that was a eyesore, So this is the type of game that, as Madrid said at the beginning of the video, long sustained drives are something that I feel like is needed, especially against a team like TCU. And, considering their strong suit in, coming back in the second half of games, it's important that, especially in the second half for us, that we don't just do a bunch of 3-and-outs, or it's just going to ignite, TCU's strong suit and allow them to come back. So when you really look at it from a full picture, I think part of going back here, but part of the reason for some of the blown leads and the reason we're just, it's the obvious reason, but, as to why we're not doing well in the second half is our offense can't convert on third down, which is confusing. Also, conversely on defense, we can't stop on third down. So third down is just kind of a bad down for us on both sides of the ball. And if we can make that adjustment, we got a good team. I thoroughly believe that because I feel like offensively and defensively, all the bad plays for us happen on third down. So not sure why that is. I feel like that's a mental thing. Because if you're doing really well on first and second, you should be able to perform well on third. Probably still coaching too, but I want to say that's more mental. So we'll see if the Kansas State game proved as kind of a mental get over for this team. And I think if you execute that, then like any game, honestly, but especially against a solid TCU team, top 5 team that does well in the second half of games, being able to convert when needed is a definite key, an obvious key, but a definite key. Any other keys to the game? Y'all have anything else before we go into predictions, or hop into that?
No, I'll go first if y'all don't mind.
Sure.
All right, so Longhorn fans have been very confident this week on Twitter and like podcasts and stuff, pretty much saying like Steven from an perspective was saying like he knows this team. This is the type of game that we show up for. We will if TCU was unranked with a couple losses, it'd be a lot more scary, which I think is true. I just think it's kind of scary how we're all banking on, oh, big game Texas, we're going to show up. Like, eventually we're going to play bad in a big game, right? Eventually we're going to come up stale in a big game. I just don't think it's going to be this weekend. I think our boys are ready for this opportunity to go show the country that we're making some moves here in Austin. We're not the old Texas anymore. So I think Texas gets on them early. I mean, TCU's gotten down big a lot of the time, and I think that we're a good first half team. So I think that we get a nice lead in the first half, go up maybe 2-3 scores at half, and I think the crowd keeps us from doing our second half shenanigans. I think the crowd keeps us engaged. I think we run the ball on them a lot in the second half. And I think they do kind of claw back at the end, but kind of just meaningless scores to make it look better than it was. But I think Texas controls this game the whole way, and we win 45-35.
Madrid?
Yeah, so I've preached throughout this season and even in our losses that this is a different Texas team. Like they try now. Their losses aren't products of giving up, which is like almost the easy part. Just keep fighting hard. But yeah, they don't do that. They're not last year's team, and frankly, they're not Herman teams either, where they just give up. They do have a lot of fight. It's just a matter if they got the juice in them or not. So I think they'll show up, and I think for the first half, I don't think it'll be like lopsided, like, oh, we have this big lead, and oh, are we gonna blow it? I think it's gonna be a pretty close game at half. So we brought it up earlier, and we said how good they are. They are in the second half, and that terrifies me because you got a team that's good in the second half, and against a team that's so wishy-washy and most often not good in the second half. So that's the part that really scares me. I like what Matt said that maybe that won't happen in at a home game, and I was at the Iowa State game, and we willed that team to that win. Like I'm telling you, the audience, the fans willed it. We were not gonna let them roll over for that. But I just what I saw them do. Who did they play last week? Who was Baylor? No, it wasn't Baylor.
Texas
Well,
Tech.
Texas Tech. Like Texas Tech was playing them close. Like it was like
Yeah.
14-17, like at half or something like that. Like real close. And then out of the gates in the second half, it was over. Like it was just strictly over. And I kind of have a fear that that's gonna happen. So I have 42-28 and us losing just because I feel like a floodgates happens at the second half. Do I want that to happen? I don't want that to happen. But there's just something in the back of my mind that keeps saying that. And on top of it, the past 2 times I've said that we were going to lose, we won. So wink, wink. But yeah, 42-28.
I love that little caveat at the end. So I'm going to be different from both of y'all here. I think that we're finally gonna get a complete game for both sides. Not just Texas, but TCU too. I think that given the nature and bigness of this game, both programs need this win. For different reasons, but both programs, this is huge. Primetime game, ABC coverage, all the optics in the world are going to be present at this game. So I think we're going to get a good game. And I think we're finally going to see Texas execute the entire game, not just have, this big first half lead and, second half lead to pair with it. Conversely, I think that TCU is going to have something similar. I don't think they're going to start out slow. They're going to be amped and juiced up. I think that it's going to be a very much back and forth trade score for score type of situation here. I do want to give Texas the edge because of the home field advantage. Coupled with, I think it can't be underlooked the fact that we lost to Bama, and I believe that our players took that personal. Now that Quinn is healthy and we got another shot on a primetime stage to, kind of atone for that loss that we should have very much won. I don't see us slipping up again after that loss. Kind of like what other Texas fans said, and Stephen from Fanatic perspective, this team plays good in big games. Granted, this team also does not do well against TCU historically. I mean, TCU has won 7 of the last 10 matchups, which is, we got to change that immediately. But it can't be understated either. So, with all that math and logic and everything piled up together, I have this being a back and forth close game. Texas gets the edge, given the home field advantage. So I have 41-38. So 4-point game. Texas doesn't quite cover, but kind of comes down to the end is what I'm thinking here. So should be a good one, or at least that's what I hope.
Yeah, I like it. We have one Texas winning comfortably, one saying Texas loses, and one saying that we win.
Yeah, we really don't know how this game's gonna go down.
Right. That's the thing. Yeah.
Our two most complete games though that we've played have been in our two biggest games, OU and Alabama. So hopefully that trend continues on Saturday.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So, all right. Well, thank y'all for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this show. I feel like this was a good one. I feel like this was actually a very good show. I liked our dialogue. So pat on the back to us. But let us know in the comments if you agree with that sentiment. Maybe you're like, no, they sucked. But yeah, please like, comment, subscribe, all the good stuff, especially if you're new here. We do this often, so or at least try to. So yeah, big game Saturday in Austin. If you're in the city or going to the game, be loud, be proud. Should be a good game to watch. And dress warm. I guess it'll be a little cool. So with all that said, y'all take care. Hopefully the Horns handle business and get a first top 10 win in DKR in decades. I don't know, but we just need to get that monkey off our back, period, in general, for the sake of the history of this program. So horns up. Y'all take care. Hopefully Texas wins.
Yes, sir. Be safe out there.